What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today I've got some more entitled parent stories which you're gonna love. You ruined Christmas. Now this is an actual real story, so nothing too crazy. A few years ago now, I worked for a UK video game store franchise called Game as a customer assistant. I took great pride in my work, ensuring customers always got the best deal I could get for them and often saving hundreds of pounds, sometimes to the annoyance of my manager. Generally, I love dealing with customers. However, at Christmas time, they got nasty. One time I remember on Christmas Eve 2007, 24th December, an entitled mum came in asking for a Wii. Now the Wii at the time was the must-own console and extremely hard to get hold of. I explained to the customer they were out of stock and we wouldn't be getting any in today. However, I offered to take her name and number and add her to a list and give her a call when some did come in. But the entitled mum said, not good enough. Look, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do for you. I know the other game stores in the city are out of stock too and have been for a couple of weeks now. I have my son on the phone. Explain to him why you've ruined his Christmas. I so wanted and would have improved this story to tell him that he wouldn't get a Wii because his stupid entitled mum had no foresight to buy it early, despite it being all over the news about stock issues. However, I just told her it wasn't appropriate for me to take her phone. Oh, I really wish you would have done that. That would have been brilliant. She eventually left and swore never to return. I didn't put her name on the list. A few days later, she came on one of my days off asking why no one had called her. Yeah, I wonder why no one had called you, lady. Probably because you're absolutely disgusting. Can you imagine if the entitled mum passed him the phone and he said, sorry boy, your mum messed it all up. Oh, and by the way, Santa isn't real, and then just hangs up? Would have been unbelievable. The main thing that I don't like about this story is that the entitled mum thinks that because she can't get her son a Wii, that's ruined his Christmas. That's just never been what Christmas is about really, but I don't know. Moving on to our second story. Does this bus go into the hospital? This happened a few years ago. I was waiting for the bus to go visit a friend at the local university. The university is right next to a hospital. I had my headphones on and didn't notice an entitled mum walk up with her kids until she tapped me on the shoulder. Excuse me, does this bus go into the hospital? She was basically more annoyed than polite. I pull off my headphones. Sorry? I heard her, but it's just my normal reaction. But she gets more annoyed. Does this bus go into the hospital? Yes, I do believe it does. I think it goes through the university, then to the hospital. Oh, okay, good. She turns back to her kids without a thank you, but whatever, I've ridden the bus for years, I'm used to rude people. I put my headphones back on and waited for the bus. The bus pulls up a few minutes later and it says in big letters on the front, number 1 to the hospital. I figured the entitled mum would definitely know this was the right bus. We got in line and she was about 3 people back from me. I'm usually polite and let the elderly or mothers go on ahead, but it was super busy, so we all just kind of swarmed in. I got on and sat in the single seat right behind the driver. Now, I like this seat because it's up a step and away from everyone. Kind of like they were like, you know what, I can fit an extra seat here, so they did. The entitled mum gets on and before paying, she asked the bus driver, BD, does this bus go into the hospital? Again, not even a hint of politeness. No ma'am. She shoots me daggers like it was somehow my fault. Well, he told me you did. Well, mom, if I drove into the hospital, they probably wouldn't like that. And I could potentially hurt a bunch of people. I do, however, pull up right in front of the hospital. Everyone within earshot started dying, myself included. The entitled mum was having none of it though. She huffed and paid her fare, then brought her kids to the back. I thanked the bus driver as I left. I'm Canadian. But for the first time in a long while, I actually meant it. Now, to be fair, I'm not really sure if this was entitlement, maybe just a misunderstanding, but that was a very good joke from the bus driver. You've just got to love a bus driver that has so many dad jokes up his sleeve. You just love to see it. Korean Karen says I'm a traitor to my country for reading a Japanese manga. Now, just in case anyone didn't know, Japan and Korea hate each other. Korea hates Japan for not admitting to what they did during the Japanese occupation of Korea, and Japan hates Korea for not moving on and using the past as an excuse to hate Japan. With the recent Korea-Japan trade war going on, I'd suggest to Google this, it's a mess. The two countries can't stand one another. Me, a Korean man living in the US as a citizen, can't give two dangs about the whole thing and kinda like to watch the two nations flame one another. So I am at the library reading Vinland Saga, I highly recommend it, and I briefly answer a call from my mum regarding dinner. I hang up and go back to reading it. I felt someone watching me. I looked up to see what I can only describe as a Korean Karen and her son. Now for any of you who are fans of K-drama, she looked like one of those annoying rich mums. You know the exact type, entitledness reeking out of her butt with a face that can give you an attitude. The following conversation takes place. The Korean Karen says formally, "Excuse me sir, what are you reading?" I answer formally, "Oh, just a Japanese manga called Vinland Saga." "I know what you're reading. I'm asking why you're reading something from Japan?" "Because I like it." "Well, why though? Why are you supporting Japan?" "What do you mean?" Now Korean Karen then starts to speak informally. "Are you daft? They treated us horribly during the war and are currently trying to make Korea look bad." For those of you who didn't know, informal talk in Korean is only allowed between close friends. It's considered rude to talk informally to strangers, bosses, and elders. Okay, good to know. So I'm still talking formally, but getting annoyed. And what does that have to do with me reading my manga? "You are a traitor to your country. You took the Pledge of Allegiance." "I've been US for almost 16 years. I am a US citizen and I've taken a new oath." "How dare you talk back to me? I am older and wiser than you. You should respect and listen to your elders." Now this is an excuse that Korean adults like to abuse. I'm now really annoyed and I drop the formality. First off, I don't even know you and have no obligation to listen to you. Secondly, here in the US, respect is earned and goes both ways, not just for the elders. Korean Karen was about to say more, but her innocent child grabbed her attention, complaining about how bored he was. Korean Karen reaches for her purse and pulls out a Nintendo Switch and hands it to her son. Her kid starts playing with it at full volume. Now Korean Karen turns her attention back to me. "You are a disgrace to the Republic of Korea." Yes, she said the full name. "And so you have a problem with me reading a manga, but you buy and allow your son to play on a Switch made by a Japanese company." Oh my god, of course. Nintendo, one of the most famous Japanese companies there are. That's so good. Korean Karen's face goes red. I continue on. It feels like now this person's got her by the scruff of the neck. It's time to go for the kill. "This is why younger generations don't respect elders. People like you who spew out outdated, close-minded, know-it-all BS and are not willing to listen to the other side." Korean Karen replied, "I'll report you." So I say in English, "Okay, boomer idiot." Oh, okay, I assume this whole conversation might have been in Korean. Korean Karen screams in Korean, asking what I just said meant, and one of the librarians came over to ask her to quiet down and turn the volume down on the Switch. When the librarian saw that Korean Karen didn't understand English, he did the shh gesture. When Karen still didn't pipe down, he said in crude Korean to tell her to shut up. Korean Karen grabbed her innocent kid and left, grumbling about how rude America is. I just continued to read more Vinland Saga. Wow, this was actually a thoroughly entertaining story. Not only did we learn about the relationship between Japan and Korea, we also saw probably the best line I've ever seen in one of these stories. If you're so anti-Japan, why is your son playing on a Nintendo Switch? That is brilliant. Now for our final story. Entitled Mum is Mad, I Won't Run Her Errands After Getting My Appendix Removed. So, my mum lives with me. She has for like 10 years now. My parents never made a ton of money. They were working class. I started working at 18 to help pay bills, got married at 20, and at 22, two things happened. We moved for my husband to go to college, and that's when the bubble burst in the US. I was still helping and they would babysit my kids, but even with what I was paying, they weren't making ends meet and I would have to help more. So when we were getting ready to move, we all decided they would move with us. We would work and pay bills and they would help around the house and watch the kids. Well, as time passed, my mum stayed with us, but we would complain about the house stuff and watching the kids. So over the years, we started doing more and more ourselves and asking less and less of her. About 7.5 years ago, my dad died. He had always done more stuff when I was a kid and when they lived with me. In the years since he has passed, it has left me with more responsibility beyond my 3 kids and mum. My dad's parents are dead now too, so I have to keep an eye on / help care for my brother who is mentally challenged that my mum can't and won't help, and my uncle who is very similar to my brother who now only has me, my mum and my brother left. Also probate my grandparents' estate with no will and no list of assets, so that has been a 2-year web to figure out too. My mum has decided, I think because she is mad that she doesn't have a right to my dad's share since he didn't have a will either, she wants to get social security but could not manage to do it herself. We fought for about a year for me to apply for her because she can't figure out the online application. I told her for months that I just don't have the time or energy and we don't need the money, so if she wants it, she can figure it out. To be clear, we aren't rich, but we make about 2 times min wage each, which is at least better than what I had growing up. We provide for her needs and her comforts, and we usually include her on outings like the movies and zoo and such. Now my husband and I work in travel, so we can do a bit more with our income thanks to employee discounts. So when she wants money, I don't have the time to help or the pressing need to make the time. Well, she finally got the appreciation submitted for herself and for my dad's benefit since he's dead. They told her she needed her marriage license, so we found time to drive 2 counties over to get it, only to find out she had the county wrong the whole time. So we had to find time to go to the local courthouse to pick it up, but since they got married 36 years ago, they had to request it from archives and we can come back to pick it up. Well, that was last Thursday afternoon. On Sunday, I went to the ER with stomach pains and ended up getting my appendix removed on Monday. I was released from the hospital on Tuesday and I've been hobbling around the house trying not to die whenever I sneeze the last few days. Today, I look at the memo board on the fridge and she had written, "Get my marriage license, please," with please double underlined. I confronted her and told her I just had surgery and she asked me why my husband couldn't do it. He is having to pick up my slack, plus take care of me, plus still work. Well, I just want money. Maybe I'll call my sister, who lives like 60 miles away and has her own family, to take me. Unfortunately, that's basically it. I'm stuck with this entitled parent for life. But as it becomes more toxic, I'm getting closer to considering not taking her on trips with us going forward. Well, my one question is, does she have to live with you? Like, I get it, she's your mum, but does she? Like, if it were me, I'd be telling her to make her own way there and taking more responsibility for her own stuff. You've gone above and beyond so far. She needs to start being an adult, I think. Also, I know from personal experience that appendicitis is very, very horrible. Someone in my family had an operation and they were out of action for quite a while. Yeah, they weren't running errands the few days afterwards. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of our /Entitled Parents. As I always say, I really hope you enjoyed it. For a change, if you didn't, let me know in the comments what you didn't like about it and I will try to fix it for next episode. However, if you did and want more, click the video on screen. Now, I uploaded this one yesterday, but very late, so some of you might have missed it. With that all being said, I will see you guys tomorrow for 2 more brand new videos on the channel.